I wake up every morning to the same dull routine. The alarm blares in my ear, and for a split second, I think maybe I can just stay in bed today. Maybe I'll just call in sick and pretend the world doesn't exist for a few hours. But I know I can't. I don't have that luxury anymore. There are bills to pay, food to buy, and rent to cover. The weight of it presses on my chest before I even step out of bed. I'm 25. I was supposed to have it all figured out by now, or at least that's what I was told growing up. You go to school, get the degree, land the job, and then everything falls into place. It hasn't quite turned out that way. I'm doing the things I'm supposed to do, working hard, staying focused, trying to make a name for myself in a competitive field. But every month feels like a tightrope walk between surviving and sinking deeper into a hole. The numbers never quite add up. It's as if the universe decided that no matter how much I hustle, I'll always be just a little short. Rent keeps going up, even though I'm still in a cramped apartment with peeling paint and a drafty window. I can't afford to move. I can barely afford the basics. Food, utilities, insurance, the essentials pile up, but my paycheck stays the same. I've learned to live without a lot of things. There's no extra spending on hobbies, no spontaneous nights out with friends. I can't even remember the last time I treated myself to something simple, like a cup of coffee at a cafe or a new shirt. The idea of indulging in anything feels foreign. It's like the economy has conditioned me to believe that self-care is a luxury only the privileged can afford. I don't even bother scrolling through social media anymore, it's just a reminder that everyone else seems to be thriving. They're traveling, eating at nice restaurants, buying houses, and here I am, struggling to make ends meet. I spend hours figuring out how to stretch every dollar. Grocery shopping becomes a strategic operation. I've learned to read labels like a pro, looking for the most affordable options, hunting for discounts and sales. I'll skip the avocado toast trend because I can't justify the price, even if I kind of want it. I can't buy the things I want, the things I dream of. I see people my age living in homes they bought or going on vacations to places I've only ever seen on Instagram, and I wonder how they afford it. I guess they don't have the same financial burden I do. It's exhausting. But it's not just the money. It's the emotional toll. The constant stress eats at my mental health. Some days, I feel like I'm living in a constant state of anxiety. Every bill feels like a threat, a looming disaster waiting to happen. I track every payment, every due date, trying to stay ahead, but I know the moment I slip up, miss one payment, get an unexpected charge, I'll spiral. Sometimes I lie awake at night thinking about all the dreams I had when I was younger. I used to think that by this point in my life, I'd be doing something amazing, traveling the world, writing a book, maybe even starting a family. I thought I'd be comfortable enough to buy a house, maybe even a car that wasn't falling apart. But now, I can't even fathom those goals. They feel so distant, so far removed from my current reality. I keep telling myself that one day, I'll catch up, but it's hard to believe that when every month feels like I'm just trying to survive. There are moments when the weight becomes unbearable. I'll get a notice from the bank about an overdraft fee, or I'll get an email from a credit card company reminding me that I'm behind on payments, and I'll just sit there for a few minutes, staring at the screen. I feel trapped, stuck in a cycle that I can't escape. I want to scream or cry or throw something, but I know that won't help. There's no magic solution. No amount of hard work seems to get me ahead. I cope by distracting myself. Work is my escape. I dive into projects, stay busy with tasks, anything to keep my mind off the worry that's always there, lurking. I've learned to compartmentalize, to shove the stress aside until I can't ignore it anymore. When it gets too much, I find myself walking around the city, just trying to clear my head. The streets feel like a maze, like I'm wandering without purpose, but at least I can breathe for a minute. I look at the skyline and imagine a different life, one where I'm not struggling every single day. But deep down, I know that I've had to postpone my dreams. It's hard to admit that. I wanted to be someone who could afford to live comfortably, someone who didn't have to wonder if they'd be able to pay rent on time. I wanted to be able to save, to build a future, but right now, saving feels like an impossible goal. Every penny I have is spoken for, and yet, I never feel secure. I don't know how to fix it. I don't know if there's a magic formula that will make all of this easier. I don't know if things will ever get better or if I'll always feel like I'm just treading water. But I hold on to hope. It's the only thing I can do. Hope that one day, this pressure will let up. Hope that someday, I'll be able to travel, to save, to live without the constant worry. But for now, I'll keep going, keep pushing through, even though it feels like I'm getting nowhere. Maybe that's the only choice we have, right? To keep going, to keep trying, even when everything around us seems stacked against us. I don't have a plan for the future, not really, but I'm holding on to the idea that things will change. Maybe tomorrow, or maybe years from now. But I can't stop hoping. Because if I stop hoping, then what's left? And so I continue. One day at a time, one bill at a time, one breath at a time. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It helps the content grow and motivates me to create even more great videos. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any new uploads. By the way, I'm curious, when do you usually watch my videos? While working, studying, or just relaxing at home? Let me know in the comments, I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for your support. I wake up every morning with the same heavy weight pressing on my chest. It's not the weight of the blankets or the alarm blaring in my ear, it's the weight of everything. The bills. The rent. The constant, gnawing fear of not making it through another month. I'm 26, living in a cramped apartment with peeling paint and a roommate who's as exhausted as I am. But that's not the worst part. The worst part is the sense of being stuck, like a hamster on a wheel that's been going too fast for too long. I try to ignore the reality for as long as I can. The first few hours of the day are the easiest. I tell myself that today might be different, that maybe something will change. I brush my teeth, throw on clothes that aren't quite clean but will have to do, and head to work. Work. That's where everything is supposed to get better, right? I go through the motions, checking emails, answering calls, pretending like I have it all together. I don't. I don't have it together, and I haven't for a while. At lunch, I pull out my phone and check my bank account. It's a habit now, one I wish I could break. I've been doing it since I got my first job, but the results have never gotten better. If anything, they've gotten worse. My paycheck gets swallowed up by rent, utilities, and the pile of debt I've been avoiding for months. I can't even remember the last time I paid more than the minimum on my credit card. Each time I open that app, it feels like a reminder of everything I'm failing to keep up with. I try not to look at the balance, but the number haunts me, always there in the back of my mind, like a shadow I can't outrun. The cost of living has skyrocketed. Rent in this city is a joke now, but it's all I can afford. Every year, it goes up. Sometimes I wonder if the landlords know how desperate people are. I've seen it in my friends, too. We talk about it at happy hour, the only place where we can afford to feel normal for a bit. We laugh about it, but it's hollow. None of us have enough. And none of us know how long we can keep going like this. The pressure builds every time I get a text from my landlord reminding me about the rent due, or when the grocery store checkout beeps and I see how much I spend on things that won't last more than a week. It feels like I'm drowning in tiny, relentless waves of everyday life. Some days, I think about quitting. It's easier than facing another month of scraping by. I'll be okay, I tell myself. I could move back in with my parents, if they'd have me. But then I think about how I'd feel. How that would feel like a defeat. And it's not just me anymore. There's my roommate, too. We're both living paycheck to paycheck, making just enough to keep the lights on and the Wi-Fi running. But if either of us gets sick or something unexpected happens, I don't know what we'd do. Neither of us has the cushion we're supposed to have at this age. We're both just surviving. The emotional toll of it all has worn me down in ways I wasn't expecting. I've started getting anxious about the simplest things, checking the mail, opening my email, trying to plan anything. It all feels too fragile, like one wrong move and everything will come crashing down. I've never been this stressed. Even when I was younger, I never understood how people could get stuck in this cycle. Now, I get it. It's not just the lack of money. It's the feeling that the world around you is moving faster than you can run. The bills come in faster than your paycheck. The rent goes up, the food gets more expensive, and there's always someone telling you that you're not trying hard enough. It's exhausting. Sometimes, when I'm lying awake at night, I wonder what I could have done differently. Could I have taken that better job opportunity that seemed too far away? Could I have moved to a smaller city with lower rent? Maybe, but it feels like I'd be running from the problem. I used to dream about going to grad school, about building a career I loved, about traveling and seeing the world. But those dreams, once so vivid and full of color, now feel like little more than fleeting thoughts. It's hard to hold on to those hopes when you're just trying to make it through the next week. I remind myself that I'm lucky. I have a job. I have health insurance. I have a place to sleep at night. But somehow, it doesn't feel like enough. It's like I'm always racing to catch up to a future I can't seem to reach. Every time I think I'm getting ahead, something new comes up. A medical bill. Car repairs. A surprise fee I didn't know about. And that's when I have to make a choice, pay the bill, or eat this week? I used to tell myself that once I was out of debt, once I had a cushion, once I got that promotion, everything would be fine. But it's clear now that it's never that simple. Even when things seem okay, they're never truly okay. There's always that undercurrent of fear, of knowing that one little mistake could send everything spiraling. And that's how it feels every day, like I'm walking on a tightrope, waiting for the wind to knock me off balance. But I have to keep going. That's the only thing I can do. I don't know what the future holds, and I don't know if I'll ever get to a place where I can breathe without feeling that pressure building again. But I'm trying to hold on to the small moments of relief. The evenings when I sit with my roommate, and we talk about nothing and everything. The weekends when I can afford to take a walk in the park, breathe in the air, and pretend for a little while that I'm not trapped in this cycle. Those moments give me something to keep fighting for. I just hope that someday, I can look back on this time and feel like I made it through. I don't need to be rich. I don't need everything to be perfect. I just want to feel like I'm not constantly sinking. I want to be able to take a step forward without the world pushing me back. Until then, I'll keep trying. Even when it feels like I'm fighting a losing battle, I'll keep moving. Maybe someday, I'll catch my breath. Maybe I won't. But I have to keep going, because the only other option is to stop. And I can't afford to do that. Not yet. The first thing I do every morning is check my bank account. Not because I'm curious about how much I've saved, I know the answer to that already. But because I need to brace myself for how much I'll lose in the next few days. It's a ritual now, checking the account, mentally tallying the bills that need to be paid, and trying to calculate how long it'll take before I run out of room to breathe. The past few years have been a blur of uncertainty. Prices are rising, wages aren't, and I'm stuck in this cycle where every day feels like I'm drowning, but no one's around to throw me a life raft. I'm 23, and I've been working full-time for almost 2 years now. My job is supposed to be the foundation of my independence, my shot at freedom, and yet I find myself feeling more suffocated than ever. Rent went up this year. So did my student loan payment. And the grocery bill, well, that's been climbing steadily for months. I look at my bank account and I'm constantly doing the mental math. What can I push off until next month? What can I skip entirely? Do I really need to buy that thing I've been eyeing for weeks, or can I just live without it? I feel like I'm living in a never-ending game of Tetris, trying to fit pieces together while the clock is ticking, and the pieces keep falling faster and faster. I can't tell you the number of times I've had to turn down invitations to social events or trips I've really wanted to go on because I just can't afford them. And every time I do, I feel the sting of guilt. I'm 23. I should be out there living life, experiencing things. Instead, I'm watching from the sidelines, counting pennies. It gets worse when I think about the bigger picture. The future. I'm stuck in this hamster wheel, chasing after a paycheck that never quite stretches far enough. I want to think about building something. Maybe it's a career, or a family, or just a place of my own where I can feel comfortable. But I can't even imagine how that's going to happen. Every plan I've tried to make feels like a dream that's too far away to reach. I tell myself that I'll figure it out. That it's just a phase, and once I get the next raise, or pay off this credit card, things will start to get easier. But the longer I wait, the more I realize that the system isn't built to help people like me. It's built to keep people scrambling, chasing that next paycheck, never quite reaching the place where they can finally rest. Even when I do get a little extra cash, a birthday gift, a tax refund, something unexpected, it doesn't last. It's never enough to give me the breathing room I need. It's always spent before I can even fully enjoy it, usually on something essential that I put off for too long. New tires for my car. A doctor's visit. A car repair. Essentials, right? But they're still expensive. Everything is expensive. I don't know if other people feel this way, but it's starting to feel like I'm constantly swimming upstream, like I'm fighting against forces I can't control. My friends talk about their plans for the future, buying homes, traveling, saving up for big life events. They talk about these things like they're already within their grasp. Meanwhile, I'm here, just trying to figure out how to make it through the next month without falling behind. The emotional toll is harder to describe than the financial one. It's the constant worry gnawing at the back of my mind, the dread I feel every time I get a bill in the mail. It's the anxiety that hits me when I'm reminded of something I've neglected. The fear that if I make one wrong move, if I slip just a little bit, I'll end up in a place I can't get out of. I've become a master of making myself feel okay with not being okay. I tell myself, it's fine. It's just temporary. But deep down, I know that the longer this goes on, the harder it'll be to get out of it. The more I delay the things I want for myself, the more I push aside the dreams I had when I first entered the workforce, the more I wonder if those dreams will ever come true. I used to think I would be able to save up for a vacation, or maybe a down payment on a house. I wanted to go backpacking through Europe, stay in a little apartment in some quaint city, get lost in new places. Now, I think about how far away that feels, how impossible it seems. It's not just the money, it's the constant mental energy I expend just trying to stay afloat that drains me. When I do have a rare moment of peace, when I finally get a day off, when I can sit in my room and just be alone with my thoughts, all I can think about is how much I have to do, how much I need to catch up on. I can't even enjoy the time off because I'm already anticipating the next wave of bills or the next unexpected expense. And there's this guilt, too, like I'm somehow failing. I watch people around me get ahead, make progress, and I feel stuck. I know it's not entirely my fault. I know the economy isn't kind to people like me. But it doesn't make it feel any less personal. When I think about where I am now compared to where I thought I'd be, it's hard not to feel like I've let myself down. And the worst part is, I don't even know if I'll ever be able to change it. I used to dream about having a career I could be proud of. Maybe something in a creative field, something that made me feel alive. But now, I can't help but focus on the practicality of it all. I can't afford to chase dreams that might not pay the bills. So instead, I stick to what I know, a job that's stable, even though it doesn't inspire me. It's like I've traded in passion for survival, and I'm not sure if that's a choice I'll be able to reverse later on. I cope by holding on to small moments of joy. I treat myself to a coffee on the days when I can afford it, or I spend time with friends who understand the struggle. I laugh with them about how ridiculous it all is, and for a moment, the weight feels a little lighter. But even in those moments, the reality is never far behind. I'm just so tired. Tired of worrying about what's next, tired of the constant pressure, tired of seeing the world moving on without me while I'm stuck in place. There are days when I wonder if this is just how life is going to be, always scrambling, always chasing, never quite getting there. But then I think of the future. I think of the day when I can finally take a breath and say, I made it. And maybe, just maybe, that's the one thing that keeps me going. Because right now, that's all I have, the hope that one day, things will be different. I wake up in the same bed, in the same small room, to the same recurring thought, how am I going to make it through this month? It's a question that's become as routine as the alarm clock ringing. At 25, I'm supposed to be making strides in my career, maybe even looking ahead to buying a house or starting a family. Instead, I'm scrambling to make ends meet, juggling bills like a circus act, trying not to drop too many. There are mornings when I can't help but feel like a failure, like I'm being left behind while everyone else seems to be thriving. The weight of the world, well, the weight of my bank account, presses down on me as I stretch out of bed. I stand in front of the mirror, my reflection showing the exhaustion I feel in my bones. I pull on the clothes that still fit, though I'm too tired to care about how I look anymore. Some days, I wonder what it would feel like to be able to buy something new for myself, just because I wanted to. But those thoughts are fleeting. I've learned to shut them down quickly. There's no room for that kind of indulgence. I've got bigger problems to deal with. My job is supposed to be the foundation for everything. I went to college, got a degree, took out loans, and landed a position in a field I was passionate about. It seemed like the dream. But now, every paycheck feels like a temporary lifeline, just enough to keep me afloat but never enough to give me any real sense of security. The economy is a mess, and every day, it feels like I'm being swallowed by a system that's too big to fight. Expenses rise faster than wages, and no matter how hard I work, I feel like I'm drowning. It's the small things that really hit. I open my email to see another reminder about the rent increase. Another one for my student loan. And then there's the electricity bill. My rent went up last month, so now I'm barely scraping by to cover the basics. Food is another battle. I'm constantly calculating in my head, trying to figure out if I can afford the food I need or if I'll have to skip meals for the week. I've mastered the art of discount shopping, hunting for the lowest prices like a treasure hunt. But there's only so far you can stretch your dollar. At some point, I have to face the reality that no matter how hard I try, it's never enough. It's not just about the bills. It's about the constant emotional toll it takes. The anxiety of knowing that something is always coming due. The panic when an unexpected expense shows up, like a medical bill or car repair, and I have no idea how I'll pay it. It's the dread that keeps me up at night, staring at the ceiling, wondering if I'll ever be able to stop feeling like I'm stuck. The constant mental exhaustion from trying to stay one step ahead, knowing I'm only getting by, not thriving. And then the shame of feeling like I'm not doing enough. Everyone else seems to have it together. Everyone else is out there getting promotions, buying houses, going on vacations. And here I am, just trying to keep my head above water. There's this pressure to succeed, to move forward. It's something that was ingrained in me from a young age. Get good grades, get a degree, work hard, and everything will fall into place. But here I am, and it hasn't worked out that way. I feel like I'm running in place. I keep pushing myself harder and harder, but I'm not getting ahead. Every time I think I'm on the edge of breaking through, something else pulls me back down. And I wonder, is this just what life is going to be like now? Is this the reality for people my age? Just scraping by, hoping for a break that may never come? I've had to give up so many dreams. When I was younger, I had visions of traveling the world, going on adventures, making memories with friends. Now, I can't even afford a weekend getaway. I wanted to buy a house, something I could call my own. But every time I see houses online, I'm reminded of the financial wall I keep running into. It feels impossible. The idea of owning something feels so distant. I wanted to start a family, build a life, but how can I do that when I can't even build a financial foundation? I want to think about the future, to imagine a life where I don't feel like I'm living paycheck to paycheck, but every time I try, the reality of my finances pulls me back into the present, a constant reminder that I'm not there yet. Sometimes, it feels like I'm constantly sacrificing my happiness for a future that keeps slipping further and further away. My friends talk about their career goals, their trips, their new apartments, and all I can do is smile and nod, hoping they don't notice the pit in my stomach. I try to make excuses, pretending I'm just too busy or too focused on other things to join in. But the truth is, I can't afford to live like they do. I can't afford to have fun the way they do. I cope by trying to distract myself. Work consumes me, and I throw myself into projects to avoid thinking about the stress that's always lurking. When I get home, I binge-watch shows, scroll through my phone, try to lose myself in anything that doesn't remind me of my reality. But I can't escape it. It's always there. The constant weight of knowing that no matter how hard I try, I'm not getting ahead. I don't know what the future holds, and some days, it feels like I'm just going through the motions. But I tell myself that things will get better. I have to. Because if I stop believing that, if I stop hoping that someday it'll all pay off, then what's the point of all this struggle? What's the point of working this hard, fighting this much, if there's no end in sight? So I hold on. I keep going, keep grinding, because I have to. And maybe one day, I'll look back and see that all this pressure, all this stress, was just the beginning of something better. But for now, I'm just trying to survive, one day at a time. I wake up early, before the sun has even started to rise, because I know there's no way I can afford to waste even a minute of my day. Every moment feels like it's stretching and bending, like I'm on the edge of something fragile that could snap at any time. The alarm is a harsh, high-pitched sound, the kind that makes your skin crawl, but it's the only way I can get myself up, because the day is already waiting for me to start moving, already demanding more from me than I feel I have to give. I used to love mornings. A cup of coffee, a moment to breathe. Now? It's just the beginning of a mad dash. Shower, get dressed in whatever I can find that doesn't have a stain on it, check my bank account with a mix of dread and hope, hoping somehow that the last paycheck made its way in, hoping that maybe the rent will stretch a little longer this time. It never does. The numbers always seem smaller than I remember. I don't want to be this person, the one who's always counting pennies. I'm young, 24, but it feels like the weight of this financial strain is making me old before my time. I remember when I was younger, thinking that adulthood would be about freedom, about choices. Instead, it's a constant juggling act of bills, rent, and an endless loop of the same tired decisions. Can I eat today, or do I need to skip a meal so I can cover my phone bill? Is it worth getting gas to go to work, or should I just walk and hope I don't get too tired? The stress is physical. It lives in my shoulders, a tight knot that never seems to loosen. Some days, it creeps into my chest, a weight I can't shake, even when I try to laugh at something or distract myself with a TV show. The constant worry, the tightness, it doesn't go away. And the worst part? I don't even know how to explain it to anyone anymore. I used to talk about my struggles with friends, but they're all in the same boat, paddling just as hard as I am. They don't need me to remind them how bad it is. I try not to let it show, though. I'm an expert at pretending. At work, I smile, nod, and push through the day. But my thoughts are always spinning. I can't concentrate. I fumble with tasks I used to breeze through. Every time my phone buzzes, my stomach drops because I'm convinced it's a bill collector or a notification of a late fee I can't afford. Sometimes I'll take a deep breath before answering emails, hoping that somehow the universe will decide to cut me a break, just this once. When the weekend comes, I feel the weight of time slipping away. I can't really enjoy it. I used to look forward to the chance to rest, to sleep in, to do something I actually wanted to do. But now, weekends just remind me of how much I haven't gotten done, how many things I still can't afford to fix or buy. I scroll through Instagram, seeing friends posting about their vacations, about new clothes, about all these things I wish I could have, but can't. I don't want to be bitter. I don't want to resent anyone, but it's hard not to feel the sting of being stuck, of being so far behind. I've stopped dreaming the way I used to. When I was younger, I had big plans. I was going to travel. I was going to start a business. I was going to buy a house one day. Those dreams feel so far away now, like they're on a distant shore I can barely see through the fog. Every decision I make, every dollar I spend, is another weight on my shoulders that keeps pulling me down. Even when I try to look ahead, the future just feels like a place I'll never reach, because I'm too busy struggling to stay afloat in the present. I tell myself I'm doing the best I can, that things will get better. But every time I get my hopes up, I'm reminded that the world keeps moving faster than I do. Rent goes up. Gas prices go up. Grocery bills go up. Everything is rising, and my paychecks seem to stay the same. I ask myself if anyone is really getting ahead in this economy, or if we're all just stuck on a hamster wheel, running harder and harder but never getting anywhere. It's hard not to feel angry. Angry at the system that makes it feel like no matter how hard you work, it's never enough. I know people who have degrees, people who are trying to make a difference in the world, and they're all feeling it too. The same frustration, the same helplessness. It's like we're all expected to just keep grinding, to keep hoping that maybe, one day, things will magically get better. But there's no magic in it. Just hard, exhausting work that still isn't enough. I can't even enjoy the small victories anymore. Getting through a day without having to dip into my savings feels like a win, but it's a hollow one. Because I know the next day is just going to be more of the same. I've learned to cope in small ways. I cut out anything unnecessary, though I have to admit it feels like I'm cutting out everything that made life worth living. I've stopped going out with friends because I can't afford it. I've stopped buying new clothes because what's the point? I've stopped dreaming of a future where I have more, because I've learned not to expect much. But every once in a while, in the quietest moments of the night, I let myself dream again. Not the big dreams, not the kind I had when I was younger, but the small, simple ones. The ones that feel almost too impossible to hope for. Maybe one day I'll be able to afford a vacation. Maybe one day I'll be able to buy myself something nice, just because. Maybe one day I won't have to worry about whether I can afford to eat this week. I don't know if those dreams are possible, or if they'll always just stay dreams, but for now, they're enough to keep me going. The truth is, I don't know what the future holds. I don't know if things will ever get better or if I'll always feel like I'm barely keeping my head above water. But I keep waking up every day, putting one foot in front of the other, hoping that somehow, someday, things will shift. Until then, I'll keep pushing through. I'll keep doing what I can to survive in this world that feels like it's built to make me fail. Because if there's one thing I've learned, it's that even when you're trapped in a system that doesn't care about you, you have to care about yourself enough to keep going. There's this weight I can't shake off, no matter how much I try to push it out of my mind. It's like this low hum that runs beneath everything I do, an undercurrent that never quiets, never fades. It's the sound of my bank account creeping lower with each passing week, the sound of the rent due next month, the student loan I can barely make a dent in, the gas prices going up when I can barely afford to fill my tank. And no matter how hard I try to stretch my dollars, it's never enough. I thought by now things would be different. I've always worked hard, always done my best to stay afloat. When I first graduated, I imagined I'd have some kind of clarity about my future. I thought I'd have a career that I could be proud of, maybe a little extra to spend on the things I love, things that make me feel human. I never dreamed that my day-to-day would be spent juggling bills, staring at spreadsheets trying to figure out where I could cut back this month. I always knew life wouldn't be easy, but I didn't think it would be this relentless. It's 6 a.m. now, and I'm already on my phone, scrolling through my bank app, calculating the week's expenses in my head. Rent's coming up, and I'm already behind on one of my credit card payments. I sigh, close the app, and roll out of bed, heading to the kitchen to make some coffee. I can't remember the last time I had a good night's sleep. Every night feels like I'm lying awake thinking about how I'm going to make ends meet. It's a constant cycle. Work, pay bills, repeat. I've had to cut so many things out of my life just to get by, trips to the movies, nights out with friends, anything that costs more than bare minimum. A few months ago, I had to sell some of my old books just to make rent. I keep telling myself it's temporary, that one day I'll break free, but that one day feels so far away. It's not even just about the money. It's about how the weight of it all makes me feel like I'm failing. Everyone around me seems to have their shit together. I see people on Instagram posting pictures of their vacations or their new outfits or their dinners at fancy restaurants, and I can't help but wonder how they afford it. What am I missing? Am I just not doing enough? I get up at 6 a.m. and work until late, and I still can't seem to make a dent in the pile of bills that's slowly swallowing me whole. I've been looking for a better job for months now, sending out resumes, writing cover letters, trying to sell myself in the best way I can. But the economy, the job market, it's all so saturated. I feel like I'm just another face in the crowd, and no matter how much I try to stand out, I always seem to be too late. The positions I apply for are either filled before I even get a chance to interview, or they're asking for experience I don't have. How are people supposed to get experience if no one will give them a shot? It's frustrating, honestly. And it's easy to feel bitter about it, but it's hard to even muster the energy to be angry anymore. It's just this slow burn of exhaustion. Sometimes, when I'm lying in bed at night, I try to dream about what I could be doing, where I could be in 5 or 10 years if things were different. I think about how much I wanted to travel, how I've always dreamed of seeing Europe. I think about how I wanted to get my own place, something that's not a dingy apartment with peeling paint and creaky floors. I think about the friends I've had to cancel plans with because I simply can't afford to do anything anymore. It's strange, this feeling of being stuck. Of knowing what you want but feeling like there's no clear path to get there. It's like a maze that keeps shifting, and no matter which direction I take, I always end up back where I started. I don't know how to get out of it. And every time I try to think about the future, it feels like I'm looking into a foggy abyss. I can't see beyond today, beyond the bills that need paying and the errands I need to run. And yet, I keep going. I keep waking up every morning, putting on my shoes, and heading out into the world. There's something inside me that refuses to give up, even when everything seems like it's going to crumble. Maybe it's the small dreams I still hold on to. I still want to write, still want to create something that matters, something that's just mine. I want to help people, make a difference in some way. But it's hard. The pressure of everything, financial, emotional, existential, it's like a fog that clouds my mind. And in the back of my head, there's this voice that keeps whispering, "You're not good enough." It's the voice of doubt, of insecurity, the one that tells me I'll never make it. I wish I could shut it off, but it's always there, reminding me that the system is rigged, that it's not really about how hard you work, but about luck, about who you know, about timing, about the things you can't control. I try to block it out. I tell myself I'm doing my best, that I'm trying, that things will get better. I put in the hours, I keep my head down, and I try not to let the anxiety take over. Some days are better than others. Some days I can breathe a little easier. But more often than not, I feel like I'm suffocating. And yet, in the midst of it all, there's this flicker of hope. It's small, but it's there. Maybe one day, things will change. Maybe one day, I'll get that job, or my bills won't feel so overwhelming, or I'll finally be able to take that trip I've been dreaming of. Maybe I'll find a way to create a future that isn't defined by stress and scarcity. Until then, I keep going. Because what else is there to do? I don't have a choice, really. I have to keep moving forward, even when it feels like I'm not getting anywhere. And I keep reminding myself that even the smallest steps count. Even if the dreams feel out of reach, I'll keep dreaming them. Because maybe, just maybe, that's the only thing that's still mine in all of this. So I'll take a deep breath, close my eyes, and remind myself that tomorrow is another chance to fight. Another chance to try. I wake up to the sound of my alarm blaring, but it's not the start of a new day that I dread, it's the thought of facing another round of bills that fill my inbox every morning. I roll over and grab my phone, groggily scrolling through my messages. I see notifications from my bank app, a new credit card charge, and a reminder that rent is due next week. The weight of it all hits me before I even get out of bed. I've always been told that if I work hard enough, things will get better, that success is just around the corner. But at 25, I feel like I'm not just stuck, I'm sinking in quicksand. I graduated with a degree in something I thought would open doors, only to find that the job market is overcrowded, and employers want experience that I can't afford to gain. My entry-level job doesn't cover even the most basic of expenses. But every time I try to explain this to someone, it feels like I'm making excuses. Just work harder, they say, or everyone goes through a rough patch. But it's not a rough patch anymore. It's my life. It's been years of constant pressure, and I'm exhausted. I roll out of bed and start my day. The first thing I do is check my bank account. I've learned to face it quickly, no matter how much I dread seeing the numbers. It's not a surprise, but it's always sobering. After bills come out, I have just enough left to get me through the week. But only if I don't buy anything extra. There's no room for spontaneity in my life anymore. I used to enjoy grabbing coffee with a friend or buying a book I'd been eyeing, but now it's a luxury I can't afford. It's a constant game of balance. If I spend a little here, I have to cut back somewhere else. Can I make it through the week on just what I have? Or should I dip into savings again? But savings are practically non-existent at this point. I'm lucky to have a job at all, and I try not to let myself complain too much. I try to tell myself that I'm doing my best and that it's just a matter of time before things get better. But I can't shake the feeling that I'm trapped in a system that doesn't work for me, or for anyone like me. The cost of living keeps rising while wages stay stagnant. Rent keeps going up, groceries get more expensive every month, and I'm left to make impossible decisions. There are weeks when I can't even afford to eat properly. I've learned to cook with the cheapest ingredients, hoping that the next paycheck will make it easier to get back on track. At work, I try to keep my head down and do my job. I'm grateful to have the position, but it feels like I'm barely scraping by. I've been passed over for promotions before, and it stings each time. Every time someone else moves up, it feels like another reminder that I'm stuck in a cycle. I wonder if this is what I have to look forward to, years of hard work with little to show for it. And the worst part is that no one really talks about this. They all say the same thing, just work harder, just keep pushing. But what if pushing harder doesn't make a difference? I try to remind myself that I'm not alone. That there are millions of people my age facing the same struggles. But knowing that doesn't make it easier. When I see friends posting pictures of their vacations or talking about their new cars or homes, I can't help but feel resentful. I want that too. I want to go on a trip without worrying about whether I can afford it. I want to buy new clothes without looking at the price tag like it's a life or death decision. I want to feel stable, to feel like I'm not just living paycheck to paycheck. But that dream feels so far away now. It feels like something that's slipping further and further out of my reach. And it's not just about the material things. I've had to put so many of my dreams on hold. When I was younger, I thought I'd be traveling the world by now, or working in a career I loved, or maybe even starting a family. But instead, I'm here, stuck in a constant state of survival. I haven't gone anywhere in years. I don't even know what I want to do anymore because I can't imagine a life outside of this struggle. Every time I try to make plans for the future, I get stuck in the same thought: how can I do any of this if I can't even afford to live right now? I tell myself I'm just biding my time, that one day it'll all come together. But the truth is, I'm scared. Scared that this is as good as it gets. Scared that I'll never get the chance to build the life I've always dreamed of because the system doesn't give me a chance. I've learned to live with anxiety, to breathe through it when it creeps up and tightens my chest. I've learned to accept that I may never feel fully in control of my finances. But sometimes, I can't help but feel like I'm fighting a losing battle. At the end of the day, I just try to survive. I pay what I can, cut back where I must, and keep going. But it's exhausting. It's tiring to constantly fight for a future that feels out of reach. I want to believe that things will get better, but I'm so used to being let down that it's hard to imagine anything other than more struggle. All I can do is hold on and hope that one day, maybe, I'll get a break. Maybe, just maybe, I'll be able to look back and see this time as just a chapter, a hard, painful chapter, but one that eventually led to something better. But for now, I'm just trying to make it through the day, through the month. And hoping that somehow, things will change. It's 3 a.m. I should be sleeping. But instead, I'm lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, my mind running circles around the numbers in my head. Rent is due in a few days. Then there's the electricity bill. The phone bill. The groceries, ugh. I know it's late, but I can't stop thinking about how much I have left in my checking account. It's less than $200. And the worst part is, I'm not sure if I can make it stretch for the next 2 weeks. This is my reality. I'm 25, and I feel like I'm sinking. I used to have big dreams. I imagined myself in a city that buzzed with opportunity, where I'd find my place and create something I could be proud of. I imagined getting a job that paid well enough to cover my expenses without me having to juggle every bill like a circus performer, always one misstep away from dropping everything. I imagined the future being brighter than this. But here I am, months into a job that doesn't pay enough to make ends meet. I went to college, worked hard, got my degree. They told me it would pay off. It hasn't. My job is fine, I guess. It's in marketing, which is technically in the field I studied for, but it doesn't feel like enough. I don't feel like enough. It's like I'm constantly trying to catch up, but the more I work, the more the bills pile up. And it's not just the rent or utilities. It's the little things. The fees for my student loans that I can barely keep up with. The cost of transportation. A meal here, a coffee there. Everything adds up in ways that make me feel like I'm suffocating. Some days, I wake up with a pit in my stomach, wondering how I'm going to make it through. Other days, I wake up feeling completely exhausted, already knowing I'm not going to make it. There's this weight that presses on my chest. It's always there, lingering, never letting up. And I can't talk about it, not really. People don't understand. My friends are in the same boat, at least, I think they are, but no one really brings it up. It's almost like we're all pretending that everything is okay. But it's not okay. It hasn't been for a long time. The worst part? I feel like I'm trapped in this system where expenses keep growing faster than my income. It feels like the world is pushing me down while I try to climb. The rent keeps going up every year, even though the apartment isn't getting any better. Gas prices keep rising. Every time I go to the grocery store, I have to make decisions about what to buy based on what I can afford, not what I need. It's a constant balancing act. Do I buy the essentials this week, or do I risk it and hope that the extra $20 in my account will be enough to get me through the next payday? I used to dream about traveling, about seeing the world. I imagined visiting places I'd only seen in books or movies. I wanted to go on a road trip, to walk through the streets of Paris or Tokyo, to feel the warmth of the sun on my face as I stood on a beach in Greece. But those dreams feel impossible now. There's no way I could afford to take time off work, let alone pay for a trip. I haven't even been able to take a vacation in years. Instead, I just scroll through travel blogs, looking at other people's pictures, knowing that it's a world that feels so far out of reach. I try to be good with money. I really do. I track my spending on an app. I cut back on the things that feel like luxuries, eating out, getting takeout, buying new clothes, going to the movies. But it's never enough. It's like I'm running a race, but the finish line keeps moving further away, no matter how fast I go. And every month feels like a small victory if I just make it through without dipping into my credit card. But even then, I know it's not sustainable. I keep telling myself, just get through the next couple of months, then things will get better. But they don't. I find myself resenting the system that feels like it's rigged against me. The corporate world that takes more and more, and yet doesn't seem to offer anything in return. I don't know how anyone manages to buy a house or even save for retirement. Every time I hear someone talking about their financial goals or their 401k, I feel this sharp pang of envy. I've been trying to save, but it never feels like I'm getting ahead. It's like running on a treadmill, you're moving, but not going anywhere. I don't even have the luxury of thinking about things like buying a home, or saving for something big. It's all about surviving right now. And it's not just the financial pressure that weighs on me. It's the emotional toll of it all. I can't help but feel like I'm falling behind. Everyone else seems to be getting ahead. My friends are buying houses, getting married, having kids. They talk about their vacations and their latest purchases, and I just nod along, pretending that I'm happy for them when I'm actually drowning in a sea of my own unmet expectations. I try to avoid social media as much as possible, because it's just a constant reminder that I'm not there yet, that I might never get there. It's a constant comparison, and it makes me feel small. But I try not to let it consume me. I know I have to keep going, even when it feels like it's all falling apart. So, I try to focus on the small wins. I saved $50 this month, $50 that I can use for something I actually want, like a new pair of shoes or a dinner out with friends. I don't even know if that's something to celebrate, but it feels like it is. I've learned to find joy in the little things. When I get paid, I buy myself a nice coffee, because that's a small indulgence I can afford. It's not much, but it's something. I try to remind myself that this isn't forever. That someday, I'll get through this. But it's hard to hold on to that hope when the bills keep coming, and the cost of living continues to rise. Some days, it feels like there's no way out. I've heard people say things like, just work harder, or it's all about time management. But the truth is, I'm working as hard as I can, and it still doesn't feel like enough. The economy isn't built to help people like me. It feels like the harder I try, the further behind I get. I dream of a day when I'm not constantly worried about money. When I can live without this constant knot of anxiety in my stomach. When I don't have to think twice about buying something I need, without running it through the mental checklist of how it will affect my balance in 2 weeks. I hope for a future where I'm not just surviving, but actually thriving. But right now, it's just about making it through another day. Another week. Another month. Trying to find some peace in the chaos. Trying to remind myself that I'm doing the best I can, even if it doesn't feel like enough. And that's all I can do for now. Hey, friends! If you enjoy this content, don't forget to like the video and share your thoughts in the comments. We really want to know what you like and what can be improved. What do you think of the video? Are there any topics you'd like to see in future videos? Your feedback really helps us get better. Thanks for being with us. I wake up to the same hum of the city outside my apartment window every morning, distant cars, the faint clatter of the subway, the occasional shout from someone in the street. My room is small, the bed pressed against one wall so that if I stretch my arm out in the dark, I can almost touch the window. There's a crack in the corner of the frame, and it lets in the chill of early mornings, but I never fix it. There's always something more urgent to deal with. The alarm clock buzzes at 6:30 a.m. I snooze it once, then twice. I know the routine by heart, how the minutes tick by, how I feel the weight of each one. I lie in bed for a moment, eyes closed, and let the pressure of the day settle into my chest. Another day to get through, another set of decisions that I don't want to face. I know I should get up. I know I should make coffee, maybe stretch or do something to wake myself up in a way that's more than just a dash for the door. But then I remember the bills. The ones stacked on the table. The overdue ones. The ones I've been ignoring because I don't know how to pay them. They sit there, mocking me, reminding me that no matter how much I try to put them out of my mind, they're always there. And the rent is coming up in 2 weeks. I still don't have enough saved for it. I sit up and pull the blanket off. The floor is cold. I can't afford to heat the apartment as much as I should, so I've gotten used to the chill, to wearing socks in bed and a hoodie when I'm up. I reach for my phone, scrolling through the endless stream of messages, most of them from work. Things I should have gotten done yesterday but didn't. I tap through them with a kind of automatic detachment, already dreading the day ahead. The truth is, I've been feeling stuck for a while. The cost of living is eating me alive. It feels like I'm running in place, like every time I take a step forward, an unexpected bill or some other expense yanks me 2 steps back. And my income? It's barely keeping up with what's coming in. I've taken on side gigs, a couple of freelance projects, but it's like I'm in a race I can't win. The math doesn't add up. I don't know how people do it. The people who seem to have it all together, who can afford the nice dinners, the vacations, the new clothes. People who don't spend half their time calculating whether they can afford to buy groceries and still make rent. People who seem unburdened by the constant, gnawing worry of what if this is the month everything falls apart. I put on my work clothes, a simple black shirt and jeans, and head out the door, locking it behind me. I catch a glimpse of myself in the hallway mirror, the same face I've been seeing for years, but it feels different today. More tired. More worn. There's something in my eyes that wasn't there before, some heaviness that I can't shake off. I pass by the laundry room, remembering I need to pick up detergent, but I don't. I can't afford it. So, I'll wait until payday and hope I have enough to get by. As I step onto the crowded subway, I can't help but feel the weight of the people around me. Everyone's moving, everyone's got somewhere to be, but it all feels like a blur. Sometimes I wonder if I'm the only one who feels this way, like I'm stuck in a loop, where the days blur into one another and I'm just trying to survive. There's no room for dreams, no space for anything beyond just getting by. I get to work, punch in, and start my shift. The tasks are endless, the emails piling up as I rush to keep up. Every moment is consumed by something urgent. I don't have the luxury of slowing down. There are deadlines to meet, reports to finish, and customers to deal with. I put on my professional face, the one I wear for everyone else, and I try not to think about the pile of bills waiting for me at home. Or the credit card statement that I've been avoiding. By the time I take my lunch break, I'm too drained to enjoy it. I sit at my desk, eating the same sandwich I've eaten every day this week, my thoughts drifting to all the things I want to do, the things I could do if I didn't feel like I was drowning in this never-ending cycle. The dreams I had when I was younger seem so far away now, like they belonged to a different person. Back then, I imagined a life where I was free to travel, to pursue things I loved, to live without this constant cloud of financial stress hanging over me. Now, all of that feels impossible. My world is defined by numbers, how much is in my account, how much I owe, how much more I need just to stay afloat. The hardest part, I think, is the emotional toll it takes. There's the shame of not having enough, of feeling like I'm failing because the economic system isn't built for someone like me. I didn't come from money, and every time I hear someone talk about their side hustle or their investments, it stings. I wonder if they even understand what it feels like to have to choose between eating a hot meal or buying a new pair of shoes for a job interview. And then there's the guilt of having dreams but not being able to chase them. Of not being able to take that trip I've always wanted, or start that business, or even just spend a weekend doing something for myself. It feels like the longer I wait, the further out of reach it becomes. Sometimes, when I try to imagine a future that's different from this, it feels like a distant dream, like I'm watching someone else's life unfold. I cope the best I can. I remind myself that I'm not alone in this struggle. That there are others out there, just like me, trying to make ends meet, trying to survive. We all do what we can. We make sacrifices. We find comfort in the small victories, getting through another day, making it to payday, even if we're just scraping by. But it doesn't change the fact that I'm exhausted. It doesn't change the fact that I feel like I'm losing a part of myself with every sacrifice I make. The version of me who dreamed big, who had hope for the future, feels like she's been pushed to the back of my mind, buried under bills, under rent, under the weight of living paycheck to paycheck. Sometimes I let myself dream for just a moment. I imagine a future where I don't have to worry about money every second of every day. Where I can travel, or take that creative class I've always wanted to, or simply live without this heavy, suffocating pressure. But then the dream fades, and I remember where I am. And I wonder, if I keep going this way, will I ever get there? Or will I just keep fighting to stay afloat, hoping for a break that never comes? I wish I could say that I have some plan, some clear way out of this mess. But I don't. All I can do is keep moving, keep pushing through, and hold on to whatever tiny spark of hope I have left. Because right now, that's all I've got. The first thing I do when I wake up isn't to stretch or grab my phone to check messages. It's to open the weather app and see if I need to layer up for work. But that's not it. The real first thing I do is check my bank account. Every day, as if seeing the numbers and realizing I have barely enough to cover everything gives me a sense of control over the day. It's like this ritual, one I dread but can't break. I wish I could say it was better, wish I could say it was a choice, but it's not. At 25, I'm already facing an overwhelming sense of financial uncertainty that haunts me every hour of the day. I didn't expect life to be this way. I didn't expect to be making decisions between eating dinner or paying off an unexpected bill. When I was younger, I thought if I just went to school, got a degree, and worked hard, I would make it. That was the plan. But here I am, still struggling, living paycheck to paycheck. I went to a small public university and graduated with a degree that I thought would open doors. I got a job almost immediately after graduation, nothing glamorous, just an entry-level position in marketing, but it's a paycheck, right? Except my paycheck doesn't seem to stretch far enough. It feels like expenses are growing faster than income, and every month I find myself sinking deeper, as if the harder I try to keep my head above water, the stronger the waves get. I pay rent every month, and it's a small place, but the rent goes up every year, no matter how much I struggle to keep up. I'm lucky to have the apartment I do, it's in a decent neighborhood, but it's a stretch. I sit in my tiny kitchen every day calculating how much I can afford to spend on groceries versus how much I need to save. I eat out less than I ever have. It's become an act of survival, but the truth is, I don't know how to break the cycle. The stress affects everything. The bills piling up, the credit card balances, the constant feeling of being behind. I can't take a sick day because I have no paid time off. I've had to push back appointments and even important things like seeing a doctor just because I can't afford it. Mental health? Well, that one gets pushed to the back burner, too. Anxiety and stress are my default settings now. It's like being in a constant fight or flight mode, and I just want to make it through each day without breaking down. At work, I try to keep a brave face. I try to remind myself that I'm lucky to have a job. I remind myself that not everyone has that privilege. I'm grateful, but it's hard not to look at the people around me who seem to have everything figured out. They can afford to take vacations, buy the newest gadgets, or just enjoy themselves without constantly looking over their shoulders. But when I go home, I wonder if they ever feel like I do, like they're in a race they can't seem to win. Some days are easier than others. When my paychecks come in, there's a brief moment where I feel relief, until I realize that those checks are already accounted for. Rent, utilities, groceries, student loan payments. And it's always the same. I'm always one step away from scraping by. But the worst part is the feeling of being stuck, like no matter what I do, nothing's ever going to change. I can't imagine a future for myself that isn't marred by this constant financial pressure. I don't know if that's what adulthood is supposed to feel like, but it's exhausting. The most frustrating part is the dreams I've had to push aside. When I graduated, I thought by 25, I'd be out there living life, taking trips, buying nice things, and maybe even buying a home. But now, at 25, I'm more focused on keeping the lights on than living the life I imagined. I can't afford to travel, and I can't even think about buying a house. I still daydream about all the things I put off because of this constant pressure. I want to go back to school, maybe get a master's degree or start a business, but that feels like a distant dream. A dream I keep putting off because it seems impossible in a world where the cost of everything seems to keep rising faster than what I'm earning. I dream about a career I'm passionate about, but then I look at the bills and think, well, there's no way I can make that happen right now. I know it's not all bad. There are moments where I remind myself that I am lucky to have the job I do. That my friends are supportive, and I'm not alone in this struggle. But it doesn't make the burden of responsibility any lighter. Sometimes, I don't know how to keep my head up when it feels like everyone else is ahead of me. I try to remind myself that this is a season, that things could get better, but it's hard to hold on to hope when all I can see is the mountain of bills and missed opportunities in front of me. And then, of course, there's the guilt. The shame. The constant voice in my head that tells me I'm doing something wrong. If I just worked harder, if I were smarter with my money, if I did more, I could get ahead. But the truth is, I feel like I'm doing everything I can, and it still feels like it's never enough. I'm always trying to catch up, but the finish line keeps moving further away. Every night, I lie in bed wondering if this is all there is. Wondering when things will get better. Wondering if it's even possible to escape this cycle. I can't even afford to take a break, because the cost of a break is something I can't risk. So, I keep going. Day by day. Trying to stay hopeful, even when it feels like hope is something that's out of reach. The scariest part is that I don't know how to fix it. The system feels rigged, and I feel trapped. But I'm not giving up yet. I can't afford to. There's too much I still want to do, even if it seems like a long shot. I don't know how to get there yet, but I'm trying, and that's something. It's 7:45 a.m. when I wake up, but my eyes don't open right away. I stay in bed for a while, feeling the weight of everything I haven't done yet. The dull hum of the city is already starting to creep through my window, cars honking, construction workers shouting, the distant sound of a siren cutting through the usual noise. I'm not sure if it's the morning or just the way everything feels right now, but I can't seem to shake off this heavy feeling. It's like there's a fog surrounding me. And it's not from the lack of sleep, though I haven't had much of that lately. No, this fog is something deeper. I reach for my phone, the first habit of my morning. I scroll through my bank account and wince. I knew it was bad, but it still hits me every time. My paycheck is already almost gone. Rent is due next week, and I haven't even thought about groceries. The numbers don't add up anymore. It's like the universe is playing a cruel game with me, setting the stakes higher every time I think I've figured it out. There's no getting ahead. I'm stuck. I know it, and I hate it. When I think about it too much, I start to feel suffocated. All I can see are the rising costs, the gas prices, the rent that keeps creeping up, the insurance premiums, the student loan payments. None of them stop. I remember when I first moved out on my own. It was supposed to be this milestone, this exciting step forward. But it feels like I'm just swimming against a current that's getting stronger every year. I get out of bed, my legs a little wobbly from the weight of the thoughts dragging behind me. I need to leave for work soon, but I'm already feeling drained. There's this constant tension in my chest, this nagging feeling that I'm barely keeping my head above water. It's like I'm running on empty, and no matter how fast I go, I'm always just one step behind. I've always tried to be optimistic, to push through things. I tell myself, it's just a rough patch, but when the rough patch keeps stretching out into months, then years, it starts to feel like this is just what life is now. A long, never-ending cycle of struggle. I don't even know when it started to feel like this. Maybe it was when the pandemic hit, and everything went sideways. I lost my first job, then picked up a few temp gigs, and then a part-time job turned full-time. It's work, but it's never enough. I don't know what the word enough even means anymore. I pour myself a cup of coffee, trying to get my mind off the numbers, but the worries won't go away. I check the time, 7:55 a.m. Shit. I need to leave in 5 minutes. But then I think about how much gas costs. I know I'll have to fill up soon. And that's another $100 I don't have. Some days, I try to talk myself into not worrying. You're fine, I tell myself. You're doing the best you can, but deep down, I know I'm just trying to convince myself that there's a way out. It's hard to ignore how the world keeps pushing against me. I see people my age buying homes, getting promotions, going on vacations. I've tried not to compare myself to them, but it's impossible when it feels like everyone else is moving forward, and I'm just stuck. I finally pull myself together and head out the door, grabbing my coat and hustling to my car. I haven't even had time to think about the rent yet, or the credit card bill I've been avoiding. I'm already late, and I just want the day to be over. Every morning feels like this, a scramble to keep my head above water. I never have enough time or energy to really focus on the things that make me happy. Instead, I'm just managing, getting by. The workday is a blur. I work in a small office, answering calls, answering emails, doing what I can to keep up. It's not a job I love, but it's a job. I'm grateful for that. But every time I look at the clock, I feel the same gnawing anxiety. There's always this underlying tension that I'm not doing enough. My mind keeps jumping back to the bigger picture. When will it ever be enough? When the day finally ends, I feel this strange mix of relief and dread. I'm exhausted, but I don't have time to rest. I need to cook dinner, I need to pay bills, and I need to figure out how to stretch the money I don't have for the rest of the week. It's this constant juggling act. I try not to think about the future, about how I'm supposed to save for retirement, or even for a vacation, or hell, just for a rainy day. It feels pointless sometimes. I can't even imagine a future where I'm not buried under bills and stress. I know I can't keep living like this. But what else can I do? I try to tell myself that things will get better eventually, that maybe one day I'll catch a break. But the reality is that I don't see a clear path forward. I just keep moving, hoping that the next step will lead somewhere better, even if I can't see where that might be. Sometimes, I daydream about the things I used to want. I used to have big plans, travel the world, start a business, maybe buy a little house. But now, I can't even remember the last time I allowed myself to dream like that. It feels selfish, like I'm asking for too much. There's no room for dreams when you're stuck in survival mode. I try to keep my mental health in check, but it's hard. There are days when I feel like I'm drowning in everything I have to do. On those days, I'll binge watch a show, order takeout, and try to forget for a little while. But the next morning, it's right back to the same cycle. I've tried therapy, but even that feels like it's out of my reach now, expensive and out of budget. I'm exhausted, both physically and mentally. But I can't stop. I can't afford to. I know I need to make changes, but I don't even know where to start. There's no roadmap for this. It's not like anyone ever warned me that growing up would be like this feeling of constant uncertainty, of never being able to get ahead. Everyone talks about adulting like it's a rite of passage, but no one ever tells you how crushing it can feel. I don't have many friends who understand. They're all caught up in their own struggles, their own little bubbles of survival. We talk about it sometimes, but none of us really knows what to do. We just keep going, hoping that eventually, things will fall into place. But there's a gnawing feeling deep inside me that tells me this is the reality for people like me. It's not a rough patch. It's not temporary. This is life now. And that's what scares me the most, this idea that I'll always be stuck in this cycle. The thought of never being able to move forward is something I try not to think about, but it lingers, like a shadow that follows me everywhere. Still, I try to hold on to hope. I keep telling myself that one day, maybe, I'll get a chance to breathe, to live without constantly worrying about money. But I can't help but wonder if that day will ever come. For now, I just keep pushing through, one day at a time, holding on to the hope that somehow, someway, things will change. But deep down, I'm scared that they won't. And that's the hardest part to accept, that maybe this is just how life is going to be for me. I wake up to the sound of my phone buzzing on the nightstand, the light flashing like an impatient reminder that the day is here. I've always been a heavy sleeper, but lately, it's like I can't get a full night's rest. Maybe it's the constant worry about bills or the fact that I'm never really sure if today's the day I'll be able to pay them. Either way, I drag myself out of bed and check my bank account, a ritual I've come to dread. $127.34. That's all that's left after rent, utilities, groceries, and the loan payment I just can't seem to get ahead of. I wonder for a moment how long I'll be able to keep this up before I break. It's not like I'm doing anything wrong, I work 2 jobs, but it feels like the harder I push, the deeper I sink. I shower quickly, my mind running through the usual list. Do I have enough gas to get to work today? Should I stop for coffee, Or will that just put me over the edge of not having enough to make it through the week? I hate these thoughts. It feels like I'm trapped in a loop, one where every decision I make is governed by scarcity. Even simple things like my morning routine are tainted by the knowledge that I'm constantly juggling more than I can handle. By the time I'm out the door, I've already convinced myself to skip the coffee. That's $3 I don't have. When I walk past the corner store, the smell of freshly baked bread makes my stomach growl, but I turn my head, pretending not to notice. I can't even remember the last time I had a treat, something small that didn't feel like a waste of money. A year, maybe? It feels impossible to justify when I'm always calculating how much I need for the basics. At work, it's no better. I've been stuck in this dead-end office job for what feels like forever, doing mind-numbing tasks that don't pay nearly enough. The coworkers are nice, but I'm pretty sure they don't understand the weight I'm carrying. They talk about vacations and buying new clothes, while I'm just hoping my car doesn't break down. I want to be happy for them, but a part of me resents it. They get to have lives outside of work. Me? I live for the moments between shifts when I can crawl into bed and shut the world out for a few hours before doing it all over again. I'm trying to get ahead, but the odds feel stacked against me. The rent keeps going up, the price of groceries keeps climbing, and the student loan payments never stop. I made the decision to go to college because I thought it would help me, that it would give me the tools to break out of this cycle. But now, it feels like it's just another weight on my shoulders, like a debt that will follow me forever. Every month, I send in what I can, but it never feels like enough. The interest just keeps growing. Some days, I wonder if I'll ever catch a break. If I'll ever have a moment where I don't feel like I'm drowning. I've had to put off so many things I once dreamed of doing. Traveling, buying a place of my own, having a career that doesn't feel like it's just holding me in place. Those things feel so far away now, like I'm watching them from a distance, knowing I'll never be able to reach them. Even though I hate to admit it, I've stopped talking to my friends about it. I don't want to be that person who always complains, who talks about how hard life is. Everyone's struggling in some way, right? Maybe they're not as financially strapped, but there's always something. So I smile, I laugh, I nod, and I pretend like everything is fine, even though inside, I'm screaming. I don't want to be the one who drags everyone down with my worries, especially when I feel so helpless myself. Lately, though, the weight's starting to show. I've had trouble sleeping, and when I do, it's not restful. I wake up in a panic, thinking about my credit card bills or the rent that's due next week. My stomach is in constant knots, and I find myself snapping at people for things that wouldn't usually bother me. I'm just exhausted, mentally and physically. And yet, I keep going. I keep pushing through because what else can I do? I can't afford to just quit, and honestly, I don't know where I'd go if I did. I'm stuck. I remind myself of the things I'm doing right. I take care of my health, even if it's just a few quick workouts in my tiny apartment. I eat as well as I can, even if it's only pasta with canned vegetables because that's all I can afford this week. I'm grateful for the people in my life, even if I don't have the energy to fully engage with them. But those moments of gratitude feel like fleeting escapes from the reality I'm living in. They help for a second, but they don't last. I try to think about the future, but it's hard to dream when everything feels so uncertain. I've always imagined a future where I have a career I'm passionate about, where I'm not just surviving, but thriving. A future where I can afford things that matter to me, like finally going on that trip to Europe I've dreamed about since I was a teenager. But I've had to let go of those dreams for now. It's not that I've lost hope, exactly. But it's hard to hold on to something that feels so out of reach. Some nights, I catch myself thinking about what it would be like to just give up. Not in a literal sense, but in the sense of throwing in the towel on this whole, getting ahead thing. To stop chasing something that seems impossible and just accept that this is how life is. But then I think about my future self, the version of me that doesn't let this weight break her. She's still there, somewhere, and I can't give up on her. So I keep going. Even when everything feels like it's falling apart, I keep going. I find moments of calm in the chaos, and sometimes, that's enough. Maybe one day, I'll be able to look back and say that it was all worth it. But for now, I just have to make it through the day. Somehow, I will. There's this moment every morning, right after I wake up, when I look at my phone and see the time. It's always earlier than I want it to be, but the first thing I do is check my bank account. It's like a reflex. I know that checking it won't change anything, but I do it anyway. The numbers never bring relief, only the harsh reminder that the money I'm making is never enough. I'm 26. I have a job that should be enough, marketing assistant at a small firm. It's not glamorous, but it's steady, which is more than I can say for most people I know. I worked hard to get here. I graduated college, took on debt, got the degree I thought would make me stand out, and now I'm here, stuck in a cycle that seems impossible to break. Some days I feel like I'm living in two worlds. The world that people around me live in, where the simple things are easy, they can go to brunch on weekends, splurge on little things, travel, or save for the future. Then there's my world, where every dollar has to be accounted for. It's strange how quickly things add up when you're trying to live independently but don't have enough money to do so. Rent takes a huge chunk, and every month the price rises a little bit. Then there's utilities, insurance, groceries, and now, gas prices. It seems like every time I check my bank account, there's another bill that's gone up. Even things like my phone bill or streaming subscriptions are out of control, like some hidden force behind the scenes just hiking up the price. I try to budget. I make plans to save, but they always fall apart. Every time I think I have enough to set something aside, there's another unexpected expense, like a trip to the doctor, or my car breaking down, or a friend's birthday gift I can't really afford but feel like I should get anyway. I want to keep up with life, but I can't seem to. I want to be able to go to concerts, hang out with friends without worrying about the cost of food, or buy a new jacket when I need one. I want to live, but I feel like I'm constantly holding myself back. I know it sounds dramatic, but some days, it's overwhelming. I get into this mode where I try to distract myself. Work becomes my escape. If I focus on that, I don't have to think about everything else. But even that's exhausting. I'm expected to be creative, to be energetic, to be engaged, but my mind is always somewhere else, trying to figure out how to stretch my paycheck for another 2 weeks. I can't even fully commit to my work because the stress of what's going to happen when I leave the office hangs over me. Emotionally, I'm all over the place. One moment, I'll feel motivated, telling myself that this is just temporary and I can make it. The next, I'll feel crushed by the weight of knowing that there's always something I can't control, something I'm missing out on, something I wish I could change. I used to dream of living a life that felt free, one where I didn't have to worry about where the next dollar would come from. I wanted to travel, to move to a bigger city, maybe even to start my own business one day. But now? It feels like those dreams are slipping away. Every plan I make seems to be on hold. I can't imagine being able to take a week off for a vacation, let alone afford the kind of experiences I used to fantasize about. And forget about owning a house. I can barely imagine the idea of getting my credit score to a point where I could even consider a loan. What gets to me most is the fact that I see others around me who don't seem to have this problem. They go on vacations. They buy new things. They don't have to overthink every single purchase. I wonder, is it because they make more money? Is it because they don't have student debt hanging over their heads? Or are they just better at managing it all? Sometimes I wish I could talk to them about it, but there's this fear that they won't understand. I don't want to seem like I'm failing. It feels like no one else has this level of anxiety about money, so I keep it to myself. Even the things that used to bring me joy, like hanging out with friends or shopping, have become stressful. I don't feel comfortable going out anymore because I know I can't afford it. And when I do go, I end up feeling guilty because it's another thing I didn't need to do. The pressure to seem like I've got it together, to present this version of myself that I don't feel like I am, is exhausting. I want to tell people how hard it is, but I feel like no one would really get it unless they were in the same position. I try to cope in small ways. Sometimes it's going for walks to clear my head. Other times, I'll throw myself into reading or binge-watching a series to escape my thoughts for a few hours. But when the show ends, the reality always hits me again: the bills, the stress, the endless cycle of not having enough. It's like a weight I carry with me all the time. When I think about my future, it's hard to stay optimistic. The constant juggling of expenses feels like it's always going to be a part of my life. The idea of breaking free from this never-ending cycle of financial stress feels like a distant dream. I want to build something better, but at this point, I'm just trying to survive. There's a part of me that tells myself to keep going. That one day things will get better. I'll save enough to get ahead. But every time I think I'm almost there, something else comes up. I try to remind myself that this is just one part of my life, that it doesn't define me. But right now, it feels like all I do is struggle. I can't imagine a life where I don't have to constantly worry about money, but I'm trying. I have to believe that things will change someday. Until then, I just keep going. Day by day. Trying to make it work. Trying to hold on. I wake up to the sound of my phone buzzing on the nightstand. It's 6:30 a.m. The alarm is set for 7 o'clock, but I've learned that the first thing I need to do in the morning is check my bank account. It's almost like a ritual now, a necessary jolt of reality before I get out of bed. Every day, the same thought: how far can I stretch what I have? I roll over and swipe my phone screen. The numbers stare back at me, a harsh reminder of everything I can't afford. The rent is due in a week. I've been pushing it back, hoping something would change, hoping I could scrape together the extra money needed. The balance is lower than I expected. I feel that familiar tightness in my chest. It's a pressure that's become a constant companion. I drag myself out of bed, trying not to dwell on the numbers, but it's hard. Everything feels like a game of catch-up, an endless race where the finish line keeps moving farther away. I try to shake off the anxiety, but it lingers as I get ready for work. What's the point of looking cute for my shift at the coffee shop? That's my first thought. I quickly toss on whatever's clean, a faded t-shirt and jeans. There's no energy for anything else. The reality of needing to look presentable, but not having the resources to truly invest in feeling good about how I look, has been gnawing at me lately. Sometimes I wonder if my clothes have more of a story to tell about my life than I do. The morning is a blur of routines: packing my bag, grabbing a quick breakfast of toast and peanut butter, checking my bank account again just in case it miraculously changed overnight. It hasn't. The rent is still due, and my savings are practically non-existent. I push the thoughts aside as I leave the apartment, heading out into the cold, gray morning. At least it's not raining today. Small victories. By the time I reach the bus stop, I'm already running late. I know it's not the end of the world, but it feels like it. It's just another reminder that I'm always running behind. The bus ride is quiet, except for the hum of other people's quiet lives, each one of us wrapped in our own worries. I'm sitting there, staring out the window, wondering how everyone else manages. Maybe they don't. Maybe they're just better at pretending. At work, the hours drag on. I make coffee, take orders, listen to customers complain about their drinks like it's the end of the world. I smile and nod, but inside I'm somewhere else. I'm back in my apartment, calculating how I'm going to make it through another month. The tips aren't great today, and I'm left hoping for a decent shift tomorrow. The reality is that I'm working just to keep my head above water, not to save or even to dream. When was the last time I felt like I had room to dream? After my shift ends, I go to the grocery store. The idea of spending money when I know I can't afford it feels like a betrayal to myself. But I need food. So, I buy the basics: rice, beans, eggs, whatever's cheapest. I know this isn't a balanced diet, but what else can I do? I watch other shoppers push their carts filled with fresh produce and organic everything, and I feel something tight and bitter in my throat. It's not jealousy exactly, but more like a reminder of how far out of reach those choices are for me. I'm stuck, and the world keeps spinning with all these options that I can't access. When I get home, I unpack my groceries and sigh. I have just enough to get by, but I'm not sure how long this stretch will last. I think about the future, about where I want to be, and I can't even imagine it. It feels impossible to plan for a future when today is this much of a struggle. I used to have dreams. Big ones, even. But now? Now, it's hard to even remember what they were. I want to go back to school. I want to travel. I want to not be afraid of the next bill. But every time I think about doing something beyond just surviving, I feel a wave of exhaustion. Dreams feel like luxuries I can't afford. It's not just money, either. It's time. Energy. The space to just breathe. It's hard to explain to people who don't understand. It's like they're living in a different reality, one where the choices you make today don't weigh down on you so heavily. Sometimes I think I'm crazy for feeling this way, but the pressure is constant. It's not just the rent or the bills or the things I can't afford. It's the invisible weight of knowing that everything I do is a temporary fix. I'm not building anything. I'm just putting off the inevitable, hoping that maybe next month will be better, but knowing deep down it won't be. It's frustrating. It's draining. And sometimes it's just lonely. I feel disconnected from the people I care about, not because I don't love them, but because I can't keep up with the small social things. The dinner invitations, the plans that involve money I don't have, the spontaneous trips that seem so normal to everyone else. I've had to turn down so many things. Sometimes I just pretend I'm too busy when really, I'm just too broke. I'm still holding on, though. I don't know why. Maybe because I can't imagine giving up, even when it feels like everything's stacked against me. Maybe because I remember what it felt like to dream, like there was something more than just this cycle, like there was a way out. But then I wake up to another day of doing what I can to survive, and I'm left wondering how long I can keep pushing this rock up the hill. Some days, I don't know. Some days, I wonder if I'll ever make it. But then I think about my mom, about how she managed to raise me on her own, how she always found a way to keep going even when things were tough. I think about my dad, who worked 3 jobs just to give us something better, even though he didn't have a chance to see what that better was. I think about the people I love, and the fact that they're still here, still moving forward, and I don't want to disappoint them. I want to keep trying. I have to keep trying. But right now, I just don't know how. I'm trying to keep my head above water, but the current is strong, and every day feels like a battle I don't have the strength to fight. It's hard to think about the future when today is already such a struggle. But somewhere deep down, I know I have to keep going, even if all I can do is keep my head above water a little longer. Because if I stop swimming, I might drown. And I can't let that happen. Not yet. Maybe one day, I'll be able to look back on this and see it as just a chapter. Maybe I'll find the strength to believe in the future again. But right now? Right now, I'm just trying to make it through another day, another week, another month. And somehow, that has to be enough. I wake up to my phone buzzing on the nightstand. It's 7:15 a.m., and the first thing I do, before even thinking about getting out of bed, is scroll through a couple of notifications. One is an alert from my bank, your balance is low. The other is from my credit card, reminding me of a bill due in 2 days. Both messages hit me like a ton of bricks, but they've become so familiar that I almost don't react anymore. It's the same cycle. Every single month. I roll over, pull the covers back over my head, and just lie there for a few minutes. Sometimes I wish I could sleep forever, just to avoid facing another day of financial stress. I've been out of college for 2 years now, but every day feels like I'm still caught in the same cycle of balancing bills, student loans, and whatever else life throws at me. I can't seem to get ahead, no matter how hard I try. I used to think that getting a job would change everything. After graduation, I expected a shift in my life, a move from uncertainty to stability, from struggle to success. But now, it feels like the more I earn, the more I owe. And every new paycheck brings the same sinking feeling as the last. It's like a treadmill that never stops, but instead of moving forward, I'm just running in place, getting more and more tired. I manage to drag myself out of bed. I make coffee, not because I really want it but because I can't afford to buy breakfast. It's always cheaper to make it at home. The problem is, that's the story of my life, everything has to be the cheap version, the bare minimum. The car I drive is old, its paint chipped, the AC broken, but it's paid for. That's the best I can do. When I see my friends getting new cars, or going on trips, or buying new clothes without blinking, it just reminds me of the gap between where I am and where I want to be. By the time I get to work, my stomach is growling. I skip lunch again. I haven't had a proper lunch in weeks. I just don't have the money to spare. Most days, I buy a cheap snack from the vending machine, but today even that feels like a stretch. I feel the weight of everything, the mounting bills, the student loan interest, the tiny amount I can scrape together to save, pressing down on me. I'm already behind on so many things, and it's hard not to feel like I'm sinking deeper every day. The office is a place where I try to pretend everything is fine. I smile at my coworkers, answer emails, attend meetings, and put on the act that I'm okay. But inside, I'm constantly battling with myself. What's the point of working so hard if I can't even cover basic expenses without feeling like I'm about to drown? I keep thinking about the future that feels more and more out of reach. When I try to imagine a life without this pressure, it's like trying to picture a world without gravity. It just doesn't seem possible. It's hard to explain to anyone how exhausting it is to live like this. When you're constantly trying to figure out how to make your money stretch, you start to lose sight of who you are. I don't have the energy to pursue hobbies anymore. I barely read books, let alone go out with friends. I'm stuck in this constant loop of working, budgeting, stressing, and then starting all over again. And every time I try to think about my dreams, traveling, starting a small business, even just having the freedom to enjoy life without checking my bank account first, it feels like a cruel joke. I remember when I used to dream about opening my own coffee shop. I'd spend hours online researching small business ideas, looking at locations, imagining the feeling of being my own boss. But then reality hit, the cost of renting a space, the startup fees, the permits, the loans. The more I looked into it, the more it felt like a pipe dream, something that belonged to a different class of people, not someone like me. People who didn't have to calculate every dollar before making a decision. People who could afford to fail. I don't have that luxury. I've had to postpone everything that made me feel alive, that made me feel like there was something more to look forward to than just paying bills. I had to put off moving into a place of my own. I had to give up on the idea of traveling somewhere, anywhere, just to experience something outside of this routine. The last time I thought about taking a vacation, I looked up flights to Europe, then immediately shut the window after seeing the prices. It's like those experiences are reserved for people who don't have to worry about every dime. Sometimes I feel like I'm on the edge of burnout. Every day is a battle with exhaustion, both physical and mental. I find myself running on fumes, only to get home at night, lie down, and start stressing about tomorrow. It's a vicious cycle. It wears on you, makes you question your self-worth. Am I working hard enough? Am I smart enough? Why can't I figure this out like everyone else seems to? I try to remind myself that I'm not alone, that there are other people facing the same thing, but that doesn't make the weight any easier to carry. It just feels like we're all stuck in the same boat, paddling with leaks everywhere, pretending that we can keep it afloat. It feels like the system is stacked against us, that no matter how hard we try, there's always something new to climb over. Rent prices are rising faster than wages. Healthcare costs are skyrocketing. And those student loans? They're still there, looming, demanding attention even as my paycheck gets swallowed up by other bills. I try to find small moments of peace, watching a movie, reading an old favorite book, or catching up with a friend. These fleeting moments help me forget, if only for a little while, the constant pressure. But eventually, it all comes rushing back. The feeling of being trapped in a system where expenses grow faster than income, where survival is the only goal, not thriving. And the worst part? The fear that I might never escape this. There are days when I feel completely hopeless. I can't help but wonder if this is how it's going to be forever. But on other days, I hold on to a small spark of hope that one day, things will get better. That I'll find a way out of this, that somehow, someway, I'll be able to look back at these years and say, I made it through. But that's just it, isn't it? I can't help but hold on to the hope that it will get better, because without that, what else is there? So I keep going. Every day. Just trying to make it through to the next. Just trying to hold on long enough to see the other side of this pressure. The only thing I can do now is keep my head down and hope that something will change. I know that I can't do this forever. But for now, all I can do is keep walking. I wake up every morning with a sense of dread that doesn't quite go away until I finally fall asleep again. It's not that I don't love my life, there's a lot I'm grateful for. I'm healthy. I have a small group of friends who are solid. But there's always this knot in my stomach. Every single day. Every single day. I'm 26, working a job I mostly enjoy in a field I studied hard for, but nothing about it feels like it's enough. I got my degree and thought things would start to click. That I'd be able to start checking things off my list, things like having a savings account, traveling, maybe even buying a car or a house one day. But now, I feel like I'm running in circles, getting nowhere. The thing is, the numbers never add up. I'm lucky in some ways, my job is stable, it pays the bills, but every month, I'm treading water, hoping the next paycheck will stretch just a little bit further than the last one. But it never does. Expenses seem to rise faster than my salary. Rent is up again. It always is. The cost of groceries is insane now. Every time I go to the store, it's a game of balancing what I want to buy and what I need to buy. I've gotten good at skimping on the things I don't have to have. But that means my meals aren't as filling as they used to be, and sometimes, I just eat crackers for dinner because I can't afford the extra veggies. I try not to think about the bigger things, like retirement, or the possibility of one day owning a home. It feels like a fantasy, something other people do, not people like me. I know that sounds cynical, but it's the truth. Every time I try to save, there's always something unexpected, car repairs, a medical bill, or a bill that was higher than I expected. And then the cycle starts over. I save for a few weeks, and then I'm right back to square one. It's like I'm in a constant state of recovery, but never quite reaching a place where I feel secure. The worst part? The guilt. It's the constant shame of not having it together. The feeling of being stuck in a system that I can't break free from. Every time I see a post from someone traveling to another country or posting about their new car or house, it stings. I know they've worked hard for it. But it just reminds me of everything I'm missing out on, everything that feels so far out of reach. I don't even think I'll be able to go on vacation anytime soon. The idea of taking time off feels like an impossible luxury. I can barely cover the basics, let alone do something for fun. I often wonder if I'm doing something wrong. Am I bad with money? Or is it just that the system is rigged? Everyone around me seems to be able to do more than I can, but I don't have anyone to talk to about it. I don't want to sound like I'm complaining. I don't want to sound like I'm not grateful for my job, my health, my friends. But it gets harder to keep quiet about it. It gets harder not to feel like I'm failing every time I look at my bank account and feel that pit in my stomach. I've spent so much time fantasizing about what I would do if I wasn't constantly in this fight for survival. I'd go back to school, take a few classes that actually interest me, not just the ones that keep me in the workforce. I'd move to a city I've dreamed of living in. I'd travel, see the world. And I'd actually take time off without feeling the guilt of it. I've always wanted to go to Europe, but even thinking about the cost makes my stomach turn. I could never afford that now, not with my rent and everything else pulling at me. And it's not even just about the money, either. It's the emotional toll of living like this. I've tried to talk to people about it, but they don't get it. No one truly does unless they've been in your shoes. So I bottle it up. I show up to work and put on a face, pretending everything is fine. I don't let anyone see the anxiety bubbling just beneath the surface. Every conversation at work feels like a reminder that I'm not measuring up. I don't go out with friends as much anymore because I don't want to explain why I can't afford it. I'm starting to dread the well-meaning invitations that only make me feel worse about what I can't do. It's hard to say no to things. I feel like I'm missing out on life, missing out on moments I'll never get back. It's like my whole existence is on pause, waiting for something to change that might finally bring me some peace. But I've learned that there's no magic moment. It's just day after day of grinding, always waiting for that one big break, for something to finally make it all work. And here's the thing, I'm tired. I'm tired of constantly thinking about money, of planning every purchase down to the last cent. I'm tired of feeling trapped, of seeing the way the world works for other people but not for me. I'm tired of the pressure to seem okay when I'm barely holding it together. But what do you do when you're stuck in a system that doesn't seem to work for you? I keep telling myself that one day things will get better. I'll get promoted, I'll find a better paying job, I'll get the things I want. But some days, that feels so distant. So impossible. Every time I manage to scrape by, I wonder if this will just be my reality forever. Will I ever get to the point where I can breathe again? The hardest part is realizing that the things I dream of are just that, dreams. I've had to push them aside for now. I still hold on to them, but I know they're not happening anytime soon. I have to find a way to be okay with that. I'm trying. I really am. But most of the time, I'm just doing my best to keep going, one day at a time, hoping that somehow, it'll get better. Thank you for watching until the end. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss new videos. Also, leave a comment, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Your support and engagement mean a lot to me. See you in the next video.